Hey guys, this is part two. I told you I wanted to make sure that I went over the student sample report essay. So first, I know we already went over this in the other video, but I forgot to tell you, make sure you look at the report checklist and check over that before you submit your rough draft of the report to make sure you've done everything you need to do before submitting it. All right, if you click on the English 112 Student Sample Informational Report, this will give you a really good example of what this type of essay should look like. Here's a title page. You have a shortened version of your title, whatever that title may be. It's a shortened version up here. It's going to be in all caps. It's called a running header, and it's, if you double click up in the top, it's going to be up in the header on the left hand side. So you've got all caps, your running header. It's a shortened version of your title, and then you have the page number. And then here, centered in the middle of your paper, you have your title, you have your name, and then it'll be Catawba Valley Community College. You want to include your date, the class, and so forth. That's not a part of the information needed for this type of essay. So there's your title page. Here's the first page of the essay. This one's going to be the introduction. Okay, this student, you can begin your essay by saying the psychological report will examine or will discuss. You can actually do that in this type of essay. And then you'll give a brief introduction of what your paper will be about. And then what this student did is had a lead-in sentence that says, in this report, the following questions will be addressed, colon. And then what she did is gave 4 questions. And what I would advise everyone to do is whatever topic that you choose from the list I provided in the instructions, I'd sit down and I'd jot down a couple questions that you might have about that particular topic. Like, for instance, phobias. What are phobias? What are the effects of phobias? What might trigger or cause phobias? Are certain types of people affected more so than others? Gender, age, there's all kinds of different questions you may have about a topic that you probably don't know a whole lot about. So this person just took 4. I would suggest about 4 questions. That's a good number to fit that 3-page length requirement. Her questions were, what are the 5 stages of grief? How long does a person typically spend in each stage? Is grief different for each person? And does American society accept death? And then she talks about the grieving process in this particular paragraph as well. And you guys will not have the option of the stages of grief for your topic choice, but this is a good example so you can see how this essay is done. Now, she did go on to continue a little bit more, giving some background of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, who actually came up with these 5 stages of grief. Your introduction does not have to be a full page like this. It may end right after you've listed your questions here. But you should have a lead-in sentence, just like this person did in the introduction, and then you list your questions, however many that you have. And then what you're going to do is you're going to turn these questions into your headers. And as you can see here, the first question was, what are the 5 stages of grief? And then she has put it here. You want to make sure that you capitalize words in your title, words in your header. You should bold print it. You can underline it. You can italicize it so that it is offset from the rest of your paper. Your headers need to be distinct and different. So what this student did is she actually went through this paragraph and answered this question, going ahead and describing and in detail and giving some information about the 5 stages of grief. And then, as you can see, she used some sources in here. And what I'm going to do is look at these sources on your reference page. That's what takes the place of the works cited page in MLA and APA. It's the reference page. I'm going to look and I'm going to compare. To make sure that the sources cited within your essay are cited on that reference page as well. So if you see here, the citations for APA format, it's a little different than MLA. With MLA, it would just be the author's last names here and a page number if there was one in the citation on the works cited page. But for APA, here you have 2 authors for this particular source. So it's Morris and Maisto, and then you have a comma, and then you have a year of publication. That's what you include in an in-text citation within your paper in APA format. Now, if there's a page number also, you would skip right there, put a P, and then whatever the page number was. okay? But there's no page number for this source. And then this person went down and she cited that particular source again. Here she cited another one, Julie Axelrod. Now she introduced the quote with who said it. And if you do that, so she's got Julie Axelrod here, you have to put the year of publication after the person's last name. And then you don't need a citation at the end. But then in the next sentence, she does put a citation at the end because it's different from the first. And then this person took the next question that she had from her list on the introduction page and answered that question here. Now, I did tell her, I said, you know, because this paper's not perfect. There are some little grammar things here and there. But I did discourage putting in a graph or a chart, especially one that basically just repeats what she's written up here. Because all this does is just repeat what the 5 stages of grief are. And there's no need to put a chart here. So I did explain that to her. So I would highly recommend that no one includes charts for this essay, because a lot of times it just repeats what you've already written. So here's another citation here. And then here's another header, another question that they chose from the introduction page. Here is another header. And again, you can look in here and see how they've answered the questions in the header and also documented and used sources and cited sources. Let's go to the conclusion page, which she actually put her conclusion into 2 paragraphs because she went over the 3-page requirement. She actually had a 4-page essay. Then she had the title page and the reference page, which again totaled like 6 pages for her. But she put her conclusion into 2 different paragraphs. You don't have to do that. That's just the way she did it. So in your introduction and your conclusion paragraphs, you can use first person. You can tell why you chose the topic, what you learned from the topic after you finished, what research did you find, were there any unanswered questions left once you've conducted your research, and so forth. All those types of little questions to guide your writing are in your essay instructions. And then if you scroll to this page, here is the reference page. These are the 4 sources that are used within this essay. So if I'm looking at this page, I'm going to go back through and I'm going to say, okay, where did they use Axelrod? Where did they use Anderson? Where did they use Morris and Maisto? Where did they use Rowley? I'm going to make sure all of these sources have been used and cited within the essay. If they haven't, that's considered plagiarism. You have to make sure that they match up. And also, if there's a source cited within your essay, but it's not listed here, that's still considered plagiarism. Whatever sources you have listed here must match up to what you have listed and cited within your essay. So here's the basic format for a report. Excuse me. And it'll give you a really good idea of how to format your essay. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. Also, be sure to look at all the APA resources to know how to cite sources within your essay. Thank you and have a good day.